Thai Paw came to New Zealand when the Japanese invaded China, and she had to travel during the night and hide during the day because otherwise they get bombed.
We've known that our ancestors have had to battle adversity and difficult conditions in order to strive for a better life for their families and I guess for their future descendants.
When you hear an aeroplane up in the sky, we as children would be very excited, but she would say, well, in my day, we would be very frightened of aeroplanes. When we hear an aeroplane approach, we would frantically rush for cover, for trees or buildings or whatever, because that would spell danger.
我姓曹，叫合租。響番禺嘅白塘出世。我7歲就同周到期訂婚，14歲結婚。響中國，我哋有3個仔女。
It was an arranged marriage, and after a few years, my father came over to New Zealand when he was about 19, and then he was away for most of the time.
1938年8月28號，日本侵打中國。好彩我丈夫周到期咁啱回鄉探親，好多人都好驚，覺得好唔安全。我同我丈夫商量咗一陣，就決定帶住幾個仔女，執埋啲衫褲鞋襪，一齊走難。好多人都想一齊走㗎，但係又唔知點算。行咗一半就行返轉頭，話走難太辛苦、太艱難啦。我明㗎。最後大概有20幾個人一齊走。
When my parents fled the war in China, they had with them 2 young daughters, and my oldest brother was a toddler.
我丈夫帶住2個女玉嬋同玉心，而我就用個孭帶孭住9個月大嘅仔成希。但係我哋真係好驚。一直都聽到啲炸彈聲，尤其是啲飛機啊，一直喺我哋頭頂飛過。我哋一聽到啲聲就即刻走去匿埋。我哋一直都向西南方行，行過好多條村，用啲船仔渡過嘅小河。我哋冇着鞋㗎，最多咪攞啲乾樹葉包住隻腳咯。但係一直孭住我嘅仔，真係好攰啊！我哋好窮，睇上嚟都冇錢。所以連啲賊仔都唔會傷害我哋。好彩有啲農村人經過，會俾啲粥水、俾啲豆同埋啲湯我哋食。好多時候我哋都喺農村嘅祠堂過夜。行咗好耐好耐，差唔多3個月之後，我哋終於都抵達廣州灣。呢個地方係喺中國南海岸，屬於法國領地。 所以啲日本兵唔敢打過嚟。響呢度，我哋再搭船去到香港九龍。呢個時候，我家婆已經響九龍租咗間屋住，我哋一家五口就同佢一齊生活。響呢1年期間，我哋就辦妥晒所有嘅手續，帶住一家五口離開香港，前往新西蘭。
My grandfather, still being here in New Zealand, was able to organise the paperwork for him and his family to come over as refugees for the 2 years temporary stay. Unfortunately, grandmother died sometime during that year. They came to New Zealand via boat, Taiping, from Hong Kong to Sydney. When they arrived in Wellington, they did the usual immigration procedures, paid £200 for the family, plus an assurance that they would leave New Zealand with any children that was born in New Zealand to go back to China. My name's Nancy Wong. I was Nancy Zhou. I do have a Chinese name, which is Yongan. I am the 4th child of a family of 5 children.
My name's Sharon Wong. I'm a paediatrician and I work here at Waitakere Hospital. So I was born in Auckland and grew up in Auckland, and my pawpaw lived in New Plymouth. So we'd go down usually during the school holidays. I remember my pawpaw being quite quiet, but also very hardworking. So they lived on a market garden, so she's always like in the garden, tending to vegetables, that sort of thing. But I also remember as a young kid her cooking as well. So I remember her sitting outside the house, maybe perched on a box or something, shelling peas and, you know, cooking really yummy food.
My mother was always busy. Despite having a new baby, she worked in the garden. I remember people talking about the baby would be put in an apple box or banana box in the rows between the vegetables while she got on with work. My mother was illiterate. She didn't have any schooling in China. When she came over here, of course, it was all work, earning enough money from scratch for the family to travel back to China. Being isolated in the garden and not going anywhere, she did not have the opportunity to socialise and learn spoken English. My father mixed a lot with the local male Chinese. My mother did not at all. My father, being a small market gardener, used to take orders from the local shops and auctioneers. So that was very difficult as far as earning a living was concerned. We went to a small country school, Mangere Road School. I didn't know any English until I started school at 5. We were, of course, required to help out by interpreting for mother and father. My mother, of course, to go to town, we would have one of the children would have to go in with her, usually my older brother or me. I think my father's always believed in the value of education. He insisted that I continue with English, even to the level of taking English at university. My parents, or my father in particular, did not like us to go out independently and work. He wanted to keep the family together. He said, if you want to work, you've got work here in the market garden. If you go to university, you could go, but if you don't go to university, you work here in the market garden. No, that's protected. Huh? 。 He was very keen on Chinese chess and very good at it. And he taught me and my older brother to play it, and I loved it. Oddly enough, my children have never been interested in Chinese chess, nor has my husband. It's only recently that I've introduced it to my granddaughter, and she's made great strides within a short time of playing the game. We have 3 children of our own, Cecil and I, 2 daughters and a son, Sharon, Andrea and Greg. We've tried to instill the Chinese culture in them. We sent them to the community centre to learn Cantonese. They've been part and parcel of the Easter tournaments.
The Easter tournament is a sports tournament that happens every Easter for Chinese people in New Zealand. Yeah, Easter tourney became a big part of our lives growing up. So I played basketball and also took part in the athletics, so ran in the relay and things like that. And there's also a lot of kind of social events associated with it as well. And so it's a good chance to meet other people from the Chinese community, not just within your city, but from other areas as well. So I did meet my husband at Easter tournament. Quite often, like, I guess some of the older generation kind of try and matchmake people at Easter tourneys as well, so yeah.
Dad fell in love first.
I've got one daughter, so her name's Alexandra. She's 10.
My name is Alexandra G. I'm 10 years old and I go to Kohia Terrace School. My mum is a pediatrician. My dad does Chinese medicine. I want to be a vet or a doctor.
She's also quite proud of her Chinese heritage. She learns Cantonese and Mandarin.
我的名字是朱新月. Zhu is my last name, which is G. Xingyue means happy.
Recently, they had to take things to school that they identify with. And so she took her Chinese fan and she also took her Taekwondo belt to show as well.
So Taekwondo is basically like Chinese martial art. I've been practicing Taekwondo since I was 5 years old. And I'm a black belt. I like learning new skills. And I just like running around and kicking and punching people.
My parents have always wanted the best for me, but have also wanted to give us the opportunities that they weren't able to have when they were younger. So I went to secondary school at Epsom Girls Grammar School, and I was head girl there in 1988. Yeah, so I guess I wanted to be a doctor as long as I could remember. The interaction with people, I think, is something that I really enjoy. So dealing with people and I guess trying to make a difference to their lives. So not only their lives, but also to their families' lives as well. Working with children, it's absolutely devastating seeing them when they're unwell, and it also has huge impacts on the family as a whole. So to have the opportunity to work within a project where we could potentially get rid of the current epidemic of meningococcal disease that we have was just really exciting. I did a PhD looking at the meningococcal vaccine, Mens B, that we had rolled out here in New Zealand. So as part of that, I ran a number of clinical trials in different age groups. so that the vaccine could become available in New Zealand and rolled out to the population of New Zealand in a hope to prevent more people becoming unwell with meningococcal disease. Doing anything you can, no matter how small, to prevent people from becoming unwell or from dying is really gratifying. Medicine has always been very male-dominated, and I think over the years, like now, there's more of a push to have equity, both in terms of gender, but also in terms of ethnicity as well. And so I think it's a really good thing that there is now a push for diversity. In terms of paediatrics, there are very few Chinese female paediatricians, and I guess I would be one of the first to train in New Zealand. I've tried to encourage Alex to embrace her Chinese culture. So when she was very little, spoke to her in Cantonese. And I also sent her to a Chinese-speaking preschool. So they would celebrate things like Chinese New Year and things like that. She always prefers to eat with chopsticks than with a knife and fork.
I like calligraphy, going to Chinese class, making Chinese food, playing Chinese games, and going to Chinese New Year. With my papa, I like to do mahjong, playing Chinese chess, and doing fun activities with her.
We've been in a really unique position here in New Zealand in that we've been able to see two different cultures, and we've been able to take, I guess, the best of two cultures. I think having and understanding your own Chinese identity is really important for a person, but also as a family, in terms of knowing who you are and knowing that there's other people that are similar to you, I think is very important.
My mother never returned to China. She went through hard and really stressful times, and you can see the results of that sacrifice. I would say to her, your children and your grandchildren are now enjoying the benefits of life here in New Zealand, and it's all due to you.
If my papa was still alive today, I think I'd let her know that she was incredibly brave to come out to New Zealand when she did, under the conditions that she did, and to a country that she would have known nothing about and not know anyone and not be able to speak the language. So, like, I really look up to her from that point of view, and think that she's amazing to be able to do that in such trying times.
There's war in the air, our cupboards are bare. The time has come, the time that I fear. Daughter, sweet daughter, you must go alone to a foreign country, far from your home, and be an immigrant woman, young, brave and free. Refugee woman, crossing land and sea.
非常感謝 New Zealand On Air 嘅幫助。